Nigeria's commercial capital, Lagos, is ushering a new era of environmental consciousness in its commitment to creating a greener state by banning Styrofoam single-use food packaging, popularly known as takeaway. Styrofoam is known for its convenience, but also has long been an essential in food packaging. However, its environmental impact is undeniable, with its resistance to decomposition wreaking havoc on our ecosystem, leading to plastic pollution. Environmentalists say that the ban on Styrofoam is more than a restriction but a commitment to sustainability, and that the ripple effect will become visible sooner when our beaches are cleaner and our marine life is safer. But the question is, are businesses ready to adapt to sustainable alternatives, thereby contributing to a greener future? Now, on the other hand, within the fabric of Kenyan society is an unsettling thread that darkens every narrative that the pervasive issue of femicide brings to the fore, and that is the intentional killing of women because of their gender. The stories of countless women, their lives tragically extinguished, echoes through the collective consciousness of a nation. But beyond the statistical figures and news reports lies a profound societal issue, a stark reflection of power imbalances, systemic inequalities, and a culture that at times perpetuates the normalization of violence against women. Today, we'll be peeling back the layers, delving beyond the grim statistics to explore the complex shades of femicide in Kenya. We will also be focusing on the heart-wrenching reality of this escalating violence and how rights groups and gender experts have called on the Kenyan government to declare femicide a national disaster. I'm Darshan Usman, and this is Village Square Africa. But before we delve into the stories of discussion, we'll take the headline stories across the continent. That's the African headlines. Now, we'll begin in West Africa, where the inauguration of Liberia's new president, Joseph Boakai, was on Monday marked by the 79-year-old leader's brief spell of exhaustion due to soaring temperatures. Boakai, whose age and health are the source of much discussion in the West African country, had to pause and sit down to finish his address in front of the parliament in Monrovia, where foreign delegations and local officials had gathered. The United States Secretary of State Anthony Blinken will on Tuesday meet the presidents of Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire in a bid to forge a united front with key African democracies as crises engulf the world. The Abidjan Blinken will meet Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara before heading to Abuja to see Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, elected last year, on a platform of economic reforms. Now let's talk security matters, where Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa has advocated the use of non-kinetic approach in the ongoing fight against criminality. He says no fewer than 2,000 Boko Haram terrorists through a non-kinetic approach surrendered to troops in the height of insurgency in the country. Still in Nigeria, Plateau State House of Assembly has resumed after the recess it embarked on late last year. Today, only 8 out of 24 members of the Assembly were in attendance. 16 lawmakers who are members of the PDP were sacked by the Court of Appeal and replaced by their opponents of the APC. And now we move to Central Africa, where scores of students are reported to have been injured during a stampede in Lisi-Biling de Tourbe, located in the political capital Yaoundé. Now, according to reports, the stampede occurred when students who were late for school rushed to enter the school gate, which had earlier been closed. The situation took a tragic turn. Many students lost their lives on site, while others were rushed to nearby health facilities. Cameroon has launched the world's first large-scale systematic vaccination campaign against malaria. According to the World Health Organization, the mosquito-borne disease kills more than 600,000 people a year, 95% of them in Africa. Children under 5 years old account for more than 80% of deaths on the continent. As South Africa celebrates 3 decades of democracy this year, President Cyril Ramaphosa has praised the accomplishments of the class of 2023 matriculants, saying their success demonstrates the progress made to improve educational accessibility and equality. Now, according to President Ramaphosa, the matric exam pass rate had steadily improved over the last decade, rising from 78% 10 years ago to 80% in 2022, with the class of 2023 setting a new record. And that's all on Africa headlines. Now we'll take a quick break, and when we return, VSA continues. Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us on Village Square Africa. Now, as we look into a remarkable decision that seeks to transform the landscape of everyday life, which is the ban on styrofoam food packs, popularly known as takeaway, this bold move by the Lagos State government is not just a policy change, it is a commitment to a greener, cleaner future. The ban seeks to promote a culture of environmental responsibility, ensuring a cleaner and safer environment for generations to come. Is the ban a vital step towards reducing pollution, safeguarding our ecosystems, and fostering a culture of responsible consumption? Well, these are the questions that most people are asking. Now, we'll take a look at this package, and when we return, we will be introducing our guests.
Styrofoam is an extruded polystyrene foam that is often made into insulation, packaging, and food containers, such as beverage cups, egg cartons, and disposable plates and trays. The most common form of styrofoam used in Nigeria are food containers, mostly used at eateries, local restaurants, and even parties to package foods. But these styrofoam have now become a threat to the environment, particularly in Lagos, Nigeria, a city that generates over 13,000 metric tons of waste per day, most of which contains these plastics. They are found in canals, gutters, and sometimes, in rare cases, floating on the surfaces of flooded areas and streets. To this effect, the Lagos State government has now placed a ban on the usage of this single-use plastic with immediate effect. The State Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, who declared this via his social media platform, warned that producers of this plastic could also be made to bear the cost of the daily cleanup of their product from roads and drainage channels, which runs into tens of millions of naira daily.
So the issue also, which is our own challenge, quite frankly, is it also lies with our waste disposal system, you understand, and practices. What have we been able to get people to how have we been able to get people to dispose of their waste within the system? At least being able to identify some of these single-use plastics that are recyclable and being able to dispose them in a very proper and appropriate manner that makes recycling easy.
However, some food vendors in Lagos are kicking against this ban, insisting that such a pronouncement should have been done with prior notice or a grace period.
Most of the shops that are selling all this pack, if you go to their shop, all this pack very load, that they load it to their shop. If they said they will stop selling it, means it will affect them also. Because I don't know how they will do those markets. And the company that supplied those markets to them, I don't think they will still collect it back. They will talk to governments for them to give us more time. Then I will be happy. Because so that those that have it in the shop will at least sell it even outside Lagos. they will go and supply all those markets.
The state government, through the Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, has now called for the immediate implementation of the ban and the clamp down on production companies and distribution outlets of styrofoams across the state to prevent further distribution. In Lagos for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoga.
Now to discuss this further, we have in the studio Deji Akinpelu. He's the co-founder Rethinking Cities, and we also have Richard Abubakar Umar. He's an environmentalist, founder, Youth Voyage. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
All right, so let's begin with you in the studio, Deji. Now, you did watch the package. That's the report that our correspondent actually, came in with. And some of the local businesses or local business owners or food vendors have actually said that they should be given prior notice, and the whole ban, instead of banning it outrightly, it should have been phased out. Do you think that this ban should have been phased out, or styrofoam should have been phased out rather than banned at once?
Yeah, I think they're very, very, very correct. I don't know of any country that has ever done an immediate ban on single-use plastic and styrofoams. It is very, very important that while we are trying to protect the environment, we make our decisions more people-centered and more people-focused. An outright, an immediate ban is not the usual, is not the best global practice. Usually time is given, a time frame is given, and within this time frame there are a series of activities, initiatives that needs to be implemented, i.e. public enlightenment, i.e. creating alternatives for the people, educating them on available alternatives. So this has a very colossal economic impact on this group of people, both for the big players and the small players, the informal and the formal sector.
All right, well, just before we, come to you, Richard, some of the African countries that have already banned, a styrofoam or takeaway packs, in Africa are the likes of Guinea-Bissau, Kenya, Madagascar, Mauritania, Mozambique, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Cameroon, Chad, Ethiopia, Tunisia, Tanzania, Niger, Rwanda, and so many other countries. Now, taking a look at, this ban, Richard, over to you. Are there any potential challenges or unintended consequences that may arise from the ban? And how do you think these challenges can be mitigated? Richard, you need to unmute your mic. We cannot hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. First and foremost, just as my colleague has just said, that there has not been any country that has outrightly just put a ban without proper education and sort of. Actually, we know, like for Lagos State government, it poses serious challenge for them, especially in terms of drainage blockage, in terms of, like statistics have it, that 8 million styrofoam find their way to the ocean every day, and might outweigh the might outweigh the number of fishes in the ocean by the year 2050. So you see, this poses a great danger, and it needed to have been properly presented before the outright ban. But actually, styrofoams in most of these countries have been banned because of it's non-biodegradable and it's not friendly to the environment, and it poses a lot of environmental menace, as you can see. So basically, Lagos State taking the bold step, actually it's environmentally friendly step, but with a harsh tone. But in my own personal opinion, I would say in most countries, like if you go to developed countries, even beyond Africa, like Rwanda, for example, they don't sell, when you go to shop, you come with your reusable bags. They don't use, like in Kenya, they use paper bags for food. And these are measures we're supposed to adapt, like have a short-term plan, mid-term plan, and a long-term plan towards it.
All right. So, Richard, are you saying that this step taken by Lagos State is applaudable or not?
It's applaudable. As an environmentalist, it's applaudable. But, at times when policies like this come to bear, it comes with some turn with them. It's not, actually, government policies normally benefit some people, normally hurt some people. But the way and manner it comes really matters, so that we don't outrightly make people feel the pain suddenly. But definitely, it's a right step in the right direction. It's environmentally friendly. It's about achieving most of the sustainable development goals, like the life on water. Definitely, it's going to give the aquatic life more sustainable life, and as well a healthy impact on our health as well, because most of the fishes now, when they test them, especially ocean fishes and all these aquatic life, you discover that they have plastic in them because they consume all this plastic waste that has been dumped in the ocean. So it has a ripple effect even on the human life. So technically, it's like a step in the right direction, good for our well-being, one, for our aquatic life, two, for the entire biodiversity itself.
All right, Richard.
Because
yes, let me just come back to Deji in the studio. Now, Richard actually did say that definitely, policies like this will definitely hurt some people. And in this case, I think it should be the business owners, because I know from, being a customer, buying food from outside, if you're buying using a styrofoam pack, then it's actually free, unlike the rest. Now, in this case, in what ways do you foresee this ban impacting these local businesses, and how do you think they can transition to a more biodegradable, alternative or eco-friendly alternative?
Yeah, it's not just about the fact that policies will come and just hurt people. It is very, very important the way we govern our people and the way we come up with our policies. I think that's the most central thing here. It is very, very clear that, okay, we're saying a ban on styrofoams and single-use plastic. Okay, it comes with its good effect. But the way the government is going about it is one thing. I, as an advocate, is to speak. For me as an advocate, is to speak to this style of governance. These shouldn't. We're having some occurrences like this. It shows how do you want to implement when people are not well informed about something. It shows also that we are going to have difficulty with enforcement. If something is not properly done, then definitely the beginning of the thing, it's not well done. It clearly shows you that there's going to be challenges with enforcement. Because what timing gives, when you place a time and you give a phase-out time, you come up with alternatives like you're trying to ask about. Then the people begin to look for alternatives. Okay, other countries have done it. What are they doing? What other materials? And also, for this particular ban, it is not clear what besides styrofoam and other single-use plastics. What are the items? The information, the tweet that you saw and the press release specifically doesn't mention the items. When you say single-use plastic, that's pretty much a vague, it's not, the man on the street doesn't understand or know what a single-use plastic is. So the communication is very, very poor. This is talking about governance and how policy is being given out. That is why this issue is very, very, very important. The intention is right, but the action, the way it is being carried out, it is not in proper taste of governance.
All right, now let's come back to you, Richard. Well, earlier you did talk about paper bags as a more eco-friendly alternative to use, in food packaging, and that's just the only one that we can actually say for now. But still talking about the ban, how can it be integrated into a broader waste management strategies, to address the issue of plastic pollution? especially in Lagos State. Richard, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can
Can you
hear
hear me? Yeah, so actually, we have the 3 R's of waste management. We have reuse, reduce, and reduce, and I'll remember the third R.
Recycle.
So,
recycle.
Recycle, thank you very much. Yeah, recycle, thank you very much. So, actually, Lagos State government has LOMA, and I believe they have the infrastructure actually in waste management, but I don't know if they are putting up strategies in place to properly harness this waste, because actually in reusing waste, like the single plastic waste they are talking about, is going to affect bigger companies even beyond the manufacturers, even to the beverage companies that use single plastic waste, like for water bottles and so. And since there are no specifications, you might not know what. But be it as it may, based on the circumstances on ground, definitely the Lagos State Waste Management Agency has a lot on its hands to really ensure that it highlights how it's going to properly channel this waste management system, because actually you can actually harness this plastic and translate them into wealth. Like, for example, you could reuse single plastic and make them into interlocks. And research has it that interlocks used with plastic waste, manufactured with plastic waste, can last over 100 years because it's plastic. So, be it as it may, I don't know what strategies they have in place.
All right, since you have no idea of what strategies Lagos State government actually has, let me forward the question to Deji, since he's based in Lagos State. Deji, please, can you go ahead and answer that same question? Do you think this ban is a stepping stone towards a more comprehensive environmental policy in Lagos State? And if so, what could be the next key initiative?
Well, without not trying to say you're trying to criticize the government, the strategies and waste management policies of LOMA and the Ministry of Environment has been quite inconsistent, to say the least. There was this order that every household in the city of Lagos must have 2 waste bins, movable waste bins. That order was given against 1st of January last year. What is the success rate of that? LOMA is struggling with waste management collection, particularly in high-density areas of Lagos. So, these are recyclables. And one other key challenge that the ministry and I think the commissioner should also please pay attention to is the fair pricing system for recyclables in the city of Lagos. Immediately, a recyclable material has good value. If I pick up a PET bottle, and this PET bottle worth a good amount of money that it should, you will not see people even dump it on the street. Immediately, value is attached to a single-use plastic that is recyclable. You see it disappear. You don't find tires on the streets of Lagos. Why? Because of the value that has been attached to it. So for consistency, fair pricing system for recyclables is something that we should be looking at. While we place a time frame for the ban of this product, polluter pay program is something that we should be able to implement. Let us have deposit zones where people can take their recyclables to and get good value for their money. Let us begin to educate people over a time frame, over a period of time, to say, okay, when you're going to the mall, please carry your own shopping bag. Go with your own shopping bag. Talk to the producers in terms of product design. This is very, very critical. So the communication is very, very poor, and the actions are not very, very consistent. We need something more organized. You have listed several countries, but I'm very glad that there are quite a number of African countries there. These are they have adopted different strategies before they got to this point. It is not about somebody waking up one Sunday afternoon to say, we are banning this. No, that's not how things are done.
All right, well, Deji, that's quite an interesting idea you have. Now, over to you, Richard. Now, taking a look at, how some of these local businesses are actually pushing back. It's one thing to come up with a policy. It's another thing to implement that policy. But what about enforcement? What strategies do you think can be implemented to enforce the ban of the styrofoam pack and also prevent the illegal use or importation of these products?
Yeah, I feel basically the Lagos state government has to deploy a friendly strategy. Number one, they have to deploy educating the people on the need of this new transition from the normal plastic use to a more sustainable alternative. Then, secondly, the manufacturers have to be brought on board to see how they can properly maybe integrate them into the new strategy they have of maybe bringing up paper waste so that they can now come up with a soft landing. If not, there's going to be a serious chaos in terms of trying to balance the status quo because they have invested so much money, or maybe some of them have even paid for importation of all this into the country, and Lagos is their targeted market, and already everything is going to affect their businesses. So I don't know if they are going to come up with, let's say, a safe corridor for them in order for them to come up and to be the ones now bringing into the country the environmental friendly or paper bags manufacturing. They have to design that for that so that they don't have issues in terms of enforcement. Then basically, they have to give them a window in order for them to move their plastic waste to other states where there's no ban for now. Maybe I'm not encouraging that, but I know definitely for business so that they can implement it well. So they have to design that for the manufacturers. Then for the negotiants themselves, they have to domesticate and localize campaigns in order to carry everybody along. You don't just come up with policies without proper information and without proper education. So they have to do a mass education. They have to go down to rural communities. They have to run advocacy campaigns. They have to be on radios in local languages and make sure that everybody, all stakeholders are carried along, and so that the policy should come to life. It doesn't, when it's time for implementation or enforcement,
Yes.
They won't get let's say a regressive approach from the people.
Yes, indeed, Richard. But let me still forward the same question to Deji. Now, Deji, not forgetting the fact that the manufacturers. We've been talking about how we have to be a manufacturing society, and they're manufacturers of this styrofoam here in Nigeria, and it's risky for their jobs at the moment. How do you think this ban will affect especially the local community, because whatever is being manufactured, brings in money to Nigeria, especially considering, potential job creation in industries? How do you think this ban will affect our economy?
Oh, yes, it's going to have a whole lot of effect, like I said earlier, both formal and informal. So when we talk about these things, we have small and big businesses that are going to be affected, and the effect goes across board. And that is why it is very, very necessary that the proper engagement is done. And you seek understanding and cooperation of key players. You don't even have to have a sudden end to such products. Like I tried to say before, you can adopt the polluter pay system whereby the government mandates those who bring in this products or producers of plastic to actually pay for this product. All that is hidden in the concept of extended producer responsibility, making manufacturers to be responsible for the end of life of every product that they bring into the system. They are the ones that will contribute a certain percentage of the profit they make from this product, put it into a purse, and ensure that a system is put in place to recall back this product over a period of time that leads to its eventual face-off. A situation also whereby you encourage them, you do your own research, like my other colleague is trying to say, create the alternatives, those business too can switch to alternatives over a period of time. This is how things are done. It is not just about somebody saying, oh, there is an environmental law in Lagos, there is a law by NESRA, also these laws have not been applied, but here comes today, I have decided that this law must be enforced tomorrow. No, that's not the way out. There are several drafts of policies that are going on, even in Lagos State and on the national level, talking about these products and the way to go with them.
All right, so, well, thank you so much for a very, very engaging conversation here on Village Square Africa, talking about the ban of styrofoam single-use packs in Lagos State. We had Deji Akinpelu, co-founder, Rethinking Cities, and also Richard Abubakar Umar, an environmentalist and founder of Youth Voyage. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on the show.
Thank you for
Thank you very much for having us.
I will take a quick break, and when we return, VSA continues. Welcome back to Village Square Africa. Now, the statistics surrounding femicide in Kenya are deeply disturbing. According to a recent study by the World Health Organization, Kenya has one of the highest rates of femicide in Africa, with an estimated 2,000 women losing their lives to gender-based violence each year. Now, these numbers, however, only represent the cases that are reported, and the true extent of this crisis remains shrouded in silence and also in stigma. In fact, since Femicide Count Kenya was founded in 2019, it has recorded incidents of women being killed by stabbing, beating, mutilation, strangling, and to the extent of being doused in fuel and set on fire. Now, most of the victims were aged between 21 and 30 years old. Through the lens of femicide in Kenya, we hope to envision a path forward towards a future where every woman can live without fear, and her story is one of resilience, empowerment, and unbounded potential. Now, to discuss further on this, we have Esther Kimani. She's the Executive Director, Zamara Foundation, New York, USA. Hello, Esther. Thank you so much for joining me on Village Square Africa.
Thank you very much for having me. And maybe just to mention, I am now in New York, but I'm based in Kenya.
All right, you're based in Kenya. All right. Well,
yes,
it's a pleasure to have you.
Definitely.
It even makes it more interesting. So
yes.
Now, can you tell us, Esther, are there specific regions or communities in Kenya where femicide is more prevalent? And what factors would you say contribute to these localized patterns?
Okay, so I was thinking about this, and just also to just look at some of the cases that we've had. And to be honest, there is no way that you can say that there are specific regions or communities, because Kenya has over 42 ethnicity. We can't say that it is in this ethnicity more and in these regions more, but we can't say that, women and girls in Kenya generally are being killed. And I think for me, we can't, when you're thinking about the pattern of violence that we are seeing now, we've gotten to a place where there's the narratives around, boy child being left behind. There's the narrative that, we are seeing that, patriarchal structures really embed this deeply rooted misogynistic and views around women and how women are more powerful, and to be able to make a woman either feel less power, and it's by using violence. And and that is how we are seeing this femicide, and of course gender-based violence, even intimate partner violence, really manifesting. So it is really not in specific regions that I can speak of to say, for example, Western, Eastern, Northeastern, or Central, but it is definitely, in Kenya in total. And maybe just to point out, the African, which you've already mentioned, that there are over 500 women die every year. But then, those are just reported cases. Africa Uncensored report says 211 women were killed between the ages of 18 to 35 in the last 1 year. But you see, these are the only reported cases that get to the media or get to a police station. There are many other reported cases. There are many other unreported cases of instances where women are being killed in their homes as they go to do their daily chores.
All right, Esther,
Thank
while you were actually speaking about, some of the factors that have actually led to femicide in Kenya or contributed to femicide in Kenya, I couldn't help but remember some of the stories that I've actually read of, some of these women meeting, some of the men who actually kill them on dating sites, and especially through social media. So can you shed
Yeah.
more light on the role of technology and social media in aggravating femicide?
Yeah. So I think, when you look at social medias, we've realized that it's another source of getting information. And in Kenya, we have seen that in the recent past, that each and every week, there's misogynistic conversations and online narratives that are really, really continue reflecting the pervasive misogynistic beliefs where women are really portrayed really wrongly when you look at, how morally our society is. You hear conversations around, oh, if you've given them fare, for example, and this is a basic conversation happening every other Saturday in Kenya. There's, Saturday masculinity conversations that are happening, that are being led by men, that says, oh, if you send money to a woman for fare to come to you, they should be able to pay. So meaning that if, that woman says no, then you are justified to either beat them, to have violence on them. So while people think that the online conversations do not manifest into physical violence, it does, because it is in how we are using online conversation to change people's beliefs and narratives and their thoughts around how do we look at women and in a society that really is extremely patriarchal. And you find that there's also jokes that are being disseminated, really trivializing the gravity of femicide, but also at the same time glorifying perpetrators. So if a woman is killed, and the conversations online, which we have seen in the past 1 week, is that, oh, why did she go to an Airbnb? Oh, no, why was
That's
she dressed like
victim
that?
blaming.
That's why did she say no? And you see that these stuck narratives are the ones that are really ingrained in the perception that women are second-class citizens in Kenya.
All right, now you
Yeah.
actually just talked about victim blaming now, and this is something that a lot of Kenyans are actually fighting about, especially rights groups and, other gender groups. Now, still talking about them, they did say that we've seen so many protests on social media, like, hashtags against femicide and all that. And these right groups have actually said that the country has strong laws and policies against gender-based violence and implementation, but they're not as effective as they should be. So how do you think the legal system in Kenya, can be reformed to ensure justice for victims of femicide? And how do you think that these justice will contribute to deterrence?
And allow me to give you an example. So 5 years ago, a young woman in school doing studying to be a doctor was hacked to death. The boyfriend traveled miles away to go to school and, hack her to death because, his response was this, I've given her so much money and, she dumped me. And since that Ivy case happened, it took 5 years for prosecution. So yes, Kenya has laws and policies, but the justice systems is long and tedious and exhausting. And in there, because then the prosecutions and investigations are not being hastened, you find that many perpetrators actually, do not get prosecuted. And with this long justice system, we realize that then there are those perpetrators that actually can actually run away from getting feminists in Kenya, we are hoping that these different marches that will happen on 27 across Kenya, that it will be, it will give the pressure to the judicial systems, to the government, to the police, to be able to really hasten the prosecution, the investigation, because we believe that if perpetrators see that, if you kill a woman, there is consequences, then that can be one way of also deterring and barring them to conduct these violences. But
All
then
right.
again, also
All
we
right.
need to think about, globally, I mean, in Kenya, changing mindsets. We need to look at women differently and have the conversations around healthy relationships, respectful relationships.
All right, just before we go, Esther, now can you share with us what grassroots initiatives, especially, foundations like yours, organizations like yours, which of them have actually shown promise, especially in addressing the root causes of femicide and also providing support to affected communities in Kenya?
I think I must say that, many grassroots organizations, national and regional organizations have come up together in this fight. Of course, definitely, co-conveners of this march, Usikimi, Zamara Foundation Feminists in Kenya, we continue committing to ensure that we dismantle this entrenched system that, this entrenched system that continues to perpetuate the narrative around hating women, around, glorifying violence and mistreatment of women. But I must say that it's not, us alone. There are so many other organizations, think about Crew also working on this, Feminists in Kenya and other major local organizations that were doing this. That's why if you also look online, the marches are going to happen in many counties. So Kenya is divided in counties. So we have a march in Mombasa County, Nakuru counties, Nairobi County, Nandi, Eldoret County. We have also a march in Machakos County. So definitely we are seeing that, all women have come together to really ensure that we speak
All
with
right,
one voice.
Esther, just before we go quickly, I just need to ask you this question. I will need you to answer in just 1 minute, just before we go. Now, what innovative ways do you think men can be engaged, as allies to fight against femicide, thereby breaking down toxic masculinity and also promoting respectful relationships rather than, victim blaming or even being the perpetrators?
Yeah, I think, men play a crucial role in being an ally, but at the same time, in challenging those misogynistic and pervasive narratives, false narratives, and flawed masculinities. I feel that because then it's being perpetrated by men, if them also show that leadership in ensuring that they challenge flawed masculinities, then together we can work together to ensure that we change the whole mindsets of people, especially men who look at women as second-class citizens.
Well, thank you so much, Esther Kimani, Executive Director, Zamara Foundation in Kenya. Thank you so much for joining me and to speaking on this particular very distressing and very important topic.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, well, that's as much as we can take on the show Village Square Africa today. We hope you enjoyed every bit of today's topics. I will be back again tomorrow, same time, same station. I'm Darshan Usman. Many thanks for watching.